Hello guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel. Today, as you can see, we are doing a massive book haul. These books right here are just loads of books that I've kind of amassed over the past few months and just not really spoken about, so I thought this would be a great time to talk about it. With that though, I thought we could also have a little chat about just my 2025 reading goals for the year, because I actually do have quite specific ones that I'm very invested in this year, and a lot of these books kind of relate to that, so I thought we could just have a little chat about that as well. Please let me know what your guys' reading goals are for the year, and also please give me any tips or book recommendations for mine, because mine are quite specific and I could use book recommendations for them. Let's just chat about all the new books I've got. So I think the first thing worth noting when it comes to my 2025 reading goals is the main one essentially is just to read outside my comfort zone. My comfort zone being romance books. So last year I had a really good reading year, but I really stayed in my comfort zone, and I found that I didn't have like too many standout books like I had in previous years when I'd read a wee bit more outside my comfort zone. I felt like everything was just more of the same, and it was more of the same of things I enjoyed, but just still more of the same. I felt as though I was reading only things that I'd seen on TikTok, which there's literally nothing wrong with, but I just want to expand kind of the books I read a wee bit more, and also like for your guys' sake as well, so that I can give kind of recommendations that you've not already heard on TikTok or on YouTube. So I literally said to myself this year, I just want to go into Waterstones and go book shopping and just pick up books that I think look good. Like, I've not heard anything about them, I've not checked their Goodreads rating because I'm such a sheep for that. If I see something has a low Goodreads rating, I'm like, maybe not. So that is kind of my main goal for this year, so keep that in mind when I am talking about all these books, and please, as I said, give me any more recommendations if you have them or if you think I'll like them. Okay, the first 4 books I'd like to talk about are books that all fall into the same genre, and this is a genre that I really want to get into this year, and I honestly think I will love if I get into it, and that is science fiction. You guys know that I absolutely adored the Red Rising series, and I think that's probably the only books I've read that are science fiction, but I don't know if you guys know this about me, I used to be like a NASA freak as a child. Like, I was obsessed with NASA. I was adamant I was going to work for NASA. Like, me and my dad would spend like my childhood watching like outer space documentaries. I got like a telescope for one of my first Christmases. Like, I was obsessed with space and outer space. It's honestly weird to me that I've not read more books relating to that, because it's still like one of those things when like it gets brought up, I'm like, oh, I love it. On New Year's Eve, me and my boyfriend went to see Interstellar, which I'd never seen before, and I was literally obsessed with it. I remember watching it being like, I wish I could read this in a book. I think it might be a book, I could be wrong, but I was like, I want this exact vibe in a book. Like, I know I would eat that up. So here are some of the books I picked up related to that. The first one came from me literally being bullied by my boyfriend to get this, because this is one of his favourite books ever. And you guys in the comments of one of my TikTok videos recommended this, so I was like, oh, fine, I'll get it. And this is Project Hail Mary. He absolutely loved this book, and you guys said you thought I would really like it as well if I liked Red Rising and kind of spacey things. So yeah, I'm pretty sure this is like a guy who basically wakes up and he's like in outer space, kind of Interstellar vibes, where he needs to like find somewhere else to live or something to save humanity. I'm not too sure, but I like the kind of like mystery element of it as well, because it says like all he knows is that he's been asleep for a very long time and he's just woken to find himself hurtling through space millions of miles from home. That sounds so cool. I have very high hopes for this one, and I'm hoping this will be like a good start in the science fiction world. This is another book where I went into Waterstones and just saw this. I'd never heard anything about it, but then when I told you guys about it and on TikTok, you guys said that this is a really good series, and this is the Children of Time series. I think this is also kind of the same vibe, where they're like looking for somewhere to live other than Earth. I imagine probably a lot of these will follow the same plotline. Fine by me, I'll just give them all a go. But yeah, I think the fact that this is a series as well makes me very excited. The cover I love. I think it'll be a good way to get me into like a new series as well that I've maybe never heard of before. Okay, next is one I had truly never heard a thing about. I did just pick this up in Waterstones the other day, and this is called The Mars House, and basically I think this is like a romance. I think it's kind of about like two people who are involved in like science and stuff, and then they start like fake dating, because it says when a disastrous media encounter plunges Aubrey and January's lives into chaos, the solution is a 5-year made-for-reality TV marriage that could secure January's future and ensure Aubrey's political success, but it soon becomes clear that thousands of lives hang in the balance and nothing is as it seems. This is kind of like sci-fi romantasy almost, because I think like they are like fake dating, but it's also like a huge like sci-fi plot going on at the same time, which I just think sounds so interesting. So I'm really excited to give this one a go, and I will definitely let you guys know what I think of this one too. And then the last sci-fi book we picked up was The Long Way to a Small Angry Planet. This was recommended by one of my BookTok besties, and she considered it one of her best books she read last year. Once again, I think this is about like a crew who are up in outer space. They get the chance to build a hyperspace tunnel to a distant planet. They'll earn enough money to live comfortably for years if they survive the long trip through war-torn space without endangering any of the fragile alliances that keep the galaxy peaceful. But Rosemary isn't the only person on board with secrets to hide, and the crew will soon discover that the space may be vast, but spaceships are very small indeed. So I like the sound of that, because that sounds like action, but also just like drama. Then another, not even genre I want to get into, but just something I want to read more of this year is just like general fiction. Something that's not like advertised to me as a trope. Guys, you know me. I am picking up everything that's a trope. I love a trope. But see the times where I've read like books that are just like tropeless, like they are literally just general fiction, I eat them up. So I'm like, I need to read more of these this year. So let's talk about some of just the general books I have picked up. One of the authors I am desperate to get into this year, and I'm adamant I'm going to, is Kristin Hannah. The two main books I want to read by her are The Nightingale, of course, and Firefly Lane. But actually I feel like every time I go into a bookshop I literally cannot find her books for some reason. One that I did see and one that I did buy was Kristin Hannah Wild. I think it's very character driven. By the sounds of it, I think most of her books are extremely character driven, but there's also like a mystery as well. So basically a 6-year-old girl just appears in the forest one day in the Pacific Northwest, which I'm also going through a phase, like you guys know I'm low-key obsessed with like America and American lore and like moving to America, and I'm also going through an obsession with the Pacific Northwest. Like I was always very adamant of like, oh, I want to live in like South, like because I'm kind of a country girl. No, I'm not a country girl. I would like to be a country girl. Do not be fooled. Recently I've just been hearing a lot more about the Pacific Northwest. Like I'll never move to any of these places, but I like to like fantasize about it. And yeah, so I love the sound of the Pacific Northwest. So that's where it's set. Not really that relevant to the blurb, but I just thought I'd tell you that. So yeah, this girl just appears, and this psychiatrist Julia, she gets involved in the story even though she has just left her career because a scandal ruined it. She comes out of retirement to find out what's going on with this little girl. So I think that sounds amazing. I already love the sound of this, and I've not actually heard anyone really speak about this, so I would love to dive into this lore and yeah, just experience Kristin Hannah's writing for the first time. Next one is one I am so excited about, and I truly hope lives up to the expectations I do have for it, and that is Remarkably Bright Creatures. This is basically about a woman who's working in an aquarium, and there's this big like octopus, and I think they write the octopus like he has like a personality, because it says one night she meets Marcellus, a giant Pacific octopus living at the aquarium who sees everything but wouldn't dream of lifting one of his 8 arms for his human captors until he forms a remarkable friendship with Tova. And so basically this woman's son disappeared 30 years ago. Marcellus like helps her uncover it, and he like figures out what's going on. I think that sounds so good, because it sounds like it's going to be so like wholesome, like the friendship they develop, but it's also, once again, it's got that mystery aspect to it where like you're really invested in what actually happened to her son. So yeah, this is one I'm honestly a bit scared to read because I do have such high hopes I'm gonna love this, so I'll keep you guys posted on this one for sure. Okay, and then the last one, and just like general fiction, is another Fredrik Backman one. If you guys know me, you will know I'm absolutely obsessed with A Man Called Ove, so this is another one of his books that I'd love to read, and this is And Every Morning the Way Home Gets Longer and Longer. This was also recommended by Jessica, who recommended The Long Way to a Small Angry Planet. She said she cried the entire time, and it's literally only like 100 pages, so how scary is that? But after reading A Man Called Ove, I have so much faith that Frederick Backman could do this to me. I truly don't know what it's about, but I see an old man and a young boy, so immediately crying. I'll let you guys know how I survived this one. Okay, and then lastly, let's talk about the actual romance and romantasy that I want to read this year. First one, I'd say this is probably more fantasy than romantasy, but The Night Circus. So The Night Circus is always a book that I probably was leaning towards, like, I'm not going to read that because I've heard it's very love or hate. It's very kind of like descriptive storytelling more than like dialogue, maybe, is what I've kind of heard. I wasn't sure if I'd like this, but because I read Caraval and I really enjoyed that, and I think it kind of has a similar energy, I thought I would give this one a go because someone offered me, like, they said they had finished the book and then they said, would you want it? So I said, yeah, I'll give it a go. So yeah, I think this is basically about like a magical circus. I think it just like appears and then disappears. So I thought I'd give it a go. It's quite a big book as well, so I'm wondering what happens, but I'll definitely keep you guys posted if I like it or not. And then this is one that I'm also so excited to read because one of my book besties, Caitlin, she sent me this book and she says it's one of her comfort books. So that's like the ultimate praise you can give a book, when your friend likes it. So this is Shiver. Once again, I had never heard a thing about this book until she sent me it, but it sounds amazing. It's giving Little Red Riding Hood retelling because it's basically a local boy is killed by wolves. She finds herself then like drawn to this yellow-eyed wolf who is giving like human. So I don't think it's going to be like a romance between her and a wolf, don't be scared, but I'm imagining this like wolf is going to be like a guy in disguise or something. We'll find out, but I think it just sounds so interesting and it sounds like it's great to read in winter. It's given like very wintry. I don't think I've read anything like this before, so once again, you guys will know what I think of it. Okay, and then the last two are romance books, just pure romance. This one, not sure if we can describe this as a romance based on what I've heard about it, but I think I'm finally going to read One Day this year. I actually picked this up when I went to Book Club Scotland, which is like a Glasgow based book club in Wonderbar. Best night of the month. If you guys have not been, cannot recommend it enough. But they basically do like a book swap where you can go and like leave a book and then pick up a book like that someone's read before. So I got One Day because Lara, who was like my first ever book talk bestie, this is like her favourite book of all time. I was so excited about this copy as well because she is like adamant she cannot buy books that have the Netflix sticker on it. So when she got her copy of One Day, she was like adamant. She was like searching for months to find a copy that did not have like the now on Netflix sticker. So when I saw this and I saw there was no Netflix stickers, I was like, I'm snatching that up. So I'm gonna give this a go. I loved like Normal People and I enjoy a sad book, so I think hopefully I'll like it, but I'm nervous to read this just based on what I've heard about it. And then last but not least is one of the books that my boyfriend got me for Christmas, and this is The Bodyguard. This has been on my TBR for so long. I heard Sarah Crowley talk about it, to be honest. I don't really remember too much about it. So I think she's a bodyguard and he's an actor who has a stalker, and so I think that's kind of the dynamic, which is just so interesting and different. So I think I'll really enjoy this one. It's quite small actually as well, so it'll be like a quick nice palette cleanser with all these quite intense books I've got here. I'm definitely excited to give this one a read. So those are kind of all the books I have that I have recently bought and I'm desperate to read this year. I hopefully will get through all of these because these are just exactly the vibes I'm wanting this year. However, I have actually only set my Goodreads goal to 50 this year. So last year I set it to like 100 and then I actually did change it to 80, but this year 100% my goal is just going to be quality over quantity. But honestly, I think it's already having like a reverse effect where, because I'm specifically reading books that I love and I'm not putting pressure on myself to like meet a reading goal, I actually feel like I'm getting through books faster. I've already read like 7 books in January, which is more than I've been reading the past few months. I am very happy with that and I would love to continue that as the year goes on. Please let me know if you guys have any other recommendations, and of course if you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe, and I will speak to you guys next week in another video.